Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're putting together a sort of field guide to the threats that are constantly knocking on the door of our digital lives. We're going to break down what's really out there so you know what to watch out for.
So let's start with the big question. What are we actually up against? We're all online pretty much constantly, but the dangers have evolved so much. It's way more than just computer viruses now. Understanding this new landscape is absolutely the first step to keeping yourself safe.
So, we're going to take a tour through the whole rogues gallery. Everything from malware and phishing to brute force attacks and straight-up data theft. Let's kick things off with the one you've probably heard the most about. All right, first up is the most infamous category of threat out there, malware. You can just think of it as any kind of nasty, uninvited digital guest that shows up on your device with really bad intentions.
Now, let's break that down. The single most important word in that definition is designed. Malware is never an accident. It's code that someone intentionally built to do something malicious, whether that's just to cause chaos, steal your info, or worse.
I think this is the perfect way to look at it. Just like a parasite in nature, malware latches onto your computer or phone, using its resources for its own goals, and almost always harming the host, which, in this case, is your device.
And, malware comes in a few different flavors. You've got your classic viruses, which have to attach to another program to spread. Then you have worms, which are way more independent. They can just travel across entire networks all by themselves. And then there are trojans, the really sneaky ones, that pretend to be a useful app or a fun game to trick you into letting them in.
And this is why this is all such a big deal. Getting infected with malware isn't just some small annoyance. We're talking about the risk of identity theft, losing your precious photos or documents forever, or even having a criminal take complete control of your computer from halfway around the world.
But here's the thing. It's not always about the software. Sometimes the weakest link in any security system isn't a line of code. It's a person. And that's where social engineering comes in. This is a really critical idea to wrap your head around. Instead of spending months trying to find a technical flaw in a firewall, an attacker might just try to trick an employee into opening the digital door for them. It's all about exploiting basic human psychology, our trust, our curiosity, even our fear. And the absolute poster child for social engineering has got to be phishing. I am willing to bet every single one of us has seen a sketchy-looking email pop into our inbox. Well, that was probably a phishing attack in the wild. The whole trick here is to create a fake sense of urgency or authority. You know the ones, an email that looks like it's from your bank saying your account is locked and you have to click right now to fix it. But that link, of course, goes to a fake website that's built for one reason and one reason only, to steal your login info.
This quote just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It gets right to the core of the problem. You could have the most expensive, high-tech security system in the world, but if an attacker can just convince someone to hand over the password, none of it matters.
Okay, so we've covered attacks that go after one device and attacks that go after one person. Now, let's zoom out and look at the heavy hitters, attacks that target entire websites and services, basically trying to smash the digital gates wide open. So first up is the brute force attack. And honestly, there's nothing subtle or elegant about this. It's just pure, relentless persistence. It's an automated attempt to guess your password over and over and over again. Exactly. Imagine a thief who doesn't need to learn how to pick a lock because they have a machine that can just try millions of different keys every single second. Sooner or later, one of them is going to work. And that's why having a long, complex password is so incredibly important. And we're not talking about some person sitting there manually typing in guesses. No way. This is a computer program running 24/7, just hammering a login page with every word in the dictionary, common passwords, random characters, anything and everything until it finally gets a match. Now, let's flip the script to the second type of system attack, because it has a completely different goal. A denial of service attack, or DOS for short, isn't trying to get in. It's designed to stop everyone, including you, from being able to get in. Think of it like causing a massive traffic jam on the internet. The attacker just bombards a website's server with millions and millions of bogus requests. The server gets so overwhelmed trying to deal with all that junk traffic that it can't respond to any real visitors. And just like that, the entire site goes down. So, to make it crystal clear, a brute force attack wants to get in. The whole goal is to break through the door. A denial of service attack wants to keep you out. The goal is to jam the door shut so that nobody can use it. Two totally different objectives.
All right, for our last section, let's move into the shadows and talk about some of the more sophisticated, silent attacks. These are the kinds of things that can happen in the background, targeting your data while it's moving across a network or just sitting in a database somewhere.
With these, the game changes a little bit. The goal isn't always to take over your computer or to trick you. A lot of the time, it's about pulling off a quiet digital bank heist, stealing valuable information without anyone even noticing.
And there are a couple of key ways they do this. First is data interception. This is where an attacker on the same network, think public Wi-Fi at a coffee shop, can basically eavesdrop on what your computer is sending and receiving. If that data isn't encrypted, they can just snatch up passwords and other sensitive info. Then there's SQL injection. This is where they find a weak spot in a website's code and slip in malicious commands, that's the SQL part, through something as simple as a search box. It's like they're tricking the database into spilling all its secrets. Okay, let's do a super quick rundown. We've got malware, which targets your device with the goal of control or damage. Phishing targets you with the goal of deception. Brute force attacks target your passwords, aiming for access. Denial of service targets servers with the goal of pure disruption. And finally, data interception and injection, which target the data itself for theft.
And that pretty much covers the biggest threats out there right now. We've looked at the obvious stuff and the stuff that happens in the shadows. So, the big question I want to leave you with is this. Now that you know what you're up against, what's going to be your first, most important line of defense to protect yourself?